Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. So what's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9, and I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls.
In the annals of true crime, some cases stand out for their sheer horror and unimaginable brutality. The case of Chris Watts is one such haunting tale that shocked the world. In August 2018, a seemingly ordinary family from Frederick, Colorado, was thrust into the spotlight when their picture-perfect life took a sinister turn. Join us as we delve into the intricacies of the Chris Watts case, exploring the events leading up to the tragedy, the investigation that followed, and the motives behind this shocking act. Chris Watts, a seemingly loving husband and father, and his wife, Shanann Watts, a vibrant and doting mother, appeared to have it all. A thriving family with 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste. Their social media profiles painted a picture of happiness and success, leaving friends, family, and the public envious of their seemingly perfect family life. Watts was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina, in 1985 and lived there with his parents for most of his life. Watts attended the Pine Forest High School. After completing his studies, he started working at Anadarko Petroleum. In 2010, Watts met his wife Shanann, and they got married in November 2012. They started living in Colorado, and they were blessed with 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste. Shanann Watts was born on January 10, 1984, in New Jersey. She started working as an independent representative for LaVale, a company that markets Thrive Health and wellness products. Watts had no history of criminal activities as such. The only lawsuits the family faced were civil cases revolving around debts to third parties. Shanann and her friend Nicole Atkinson had attended a leadership seminar in Scottsdale, Arizona, after which they returned home together. The next day, on August 13, Nicole expected a call from Shanann confirming the doctor's appointment. However, Atkinson became concerned about Shanann's welfare after failing to respond to her text messages and missing the business meeting. Nicole went to Shannan's home to inquire what might be the problem, but there was nobody to answer her upon arrival. She decided to inform Watts about the situation and also reported it to the Frederick Police Department.
Okay. So what's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9, and I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls.
The police officers launched their investigation and began by visiting the Watts' house for a welfare inquiry. Chris Watts returns home from work and allows police to enter the property.
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive? Okay. Mind if I come in, Chris?
Upon searching the home, the police found Shannan's keys, phone, wedding ring, and purse in the household. They also discovered her vehicle together with the children's car seats within the compound. Upon further investigation, Chris tells police that Shanann told him that she will be going to her friend's house with the kids later that evening. That was the last he heard from her. At this point, everyone started to get worried about Shanann and the kids. Next, the police and Chris Watts are invited to his neighbor's home to watch the outside surveillance footage.
I just want to go talk to him. I'm going to get his info real quick. No.
Coincidentally, their neighbor's camera also records a part of Watts' house.
We can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making this turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the cars pulling a U-turn. So, unless they pulled right here, but I would have caught her walking out.
From the surveillance camera, it could be seen Chris backing up his truck into his driveway at 5:27 a.m. Here he can be seen loading items into his truck along with a tank of gasoline. Further to this, despite Chris's claim that his wife was going to a friend's house, the camera did not pick up any motion of Shanann leaving the house. In the early stages of the investigation, Chris Watts made emotional pleas for his family's safe return, appearing on television to express his anguish and concern.
Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
He claimed to have no knowledge of their whereabouts and proclaimed his love for Shanann and their children. As all this was going on, the police decided to look deeper into Chris's history and his recent movements. During questioning, Chris denied being linked to anyone romantically or sexually. This raised a few questions, and as it turns out, Chris was indeed having an affair with a woman named Nicole Kessinger. Police had already interviewed his mistress, and she confessed to having an affair with Chris for a few weeks now. Nicole revealed that she was under the impression that Chris was in the process of divorcing his wife. Neither was she aware that Shanann was pregnant with their third child. The investigators now wanted to do a polygraph test on Chris. He was reluctant at first, which only made them more suspicious. However, he did agree, later on, only to fail miserably.
So, it is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know.
Chris, stop. It's time. Just
I'm-
stop for a minute. Take a deep breath.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach. We're not here to play games, we're not here to do any of that with you, we just want to know what happened. It's not
I know.
even an option right now
I know.
because you did not pass the polygraph,
I
so
know.
I know you were being deceptive, so I know you want to tell us. I can see.
After confronting him that he failed, they started interrogating him over his affair with Nicole, his wife, and his kids. There were already discrepancies in his alibi, so the police knew he was lying. He was interrogated for over 5 hours. Being under pressure and not being able to keep his story straight, Chris confessed to murdering his wife in a fit of rage.
Choke her or... That's rage.
My babies are gone. And I put my hands around my wife's neck and did that same thing.
He claimed that morning, he found Shanann in one of the children's bedrooms and that she had smothered them both to death. However, this wasn't the complete truth. The trial of Chris Watts began on November 6, 2018, and gripped the nation as details of the murders emerged. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, while the defense sought to explain the actions as a result of emotional distress and a strained marriage. While on trial, Chris confessed to killing both his daughters. On November 19, 2018, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including first-degree murder and unlawful termination of pregnancy. Shanann was pregnant at the time of her murder. The judge sentenced him to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, avoiding the death penalty as part of a plea agreement. So, what exactly happened on the morning of August 13, 2018? Our story begins 3 days earlier, when Shanann was still on the business trip with Nicole. The day before returning, Shanann noticed an unusual activity on a shared bank account. On August 11, Chris had spent over $60 at a local restaurant, which seemed a bit unusual because he had told Shanann that he was going to a baseball game with friends that evening. Shanann also knew how much a meal and a drink would cost at the restaurant, so she knew something was off about his story when the numbers did not add up. The bill at the Lazy Dog Sports Bar was for 2 people. That's when Shanann suspected her husband of having an affair. When she arrived home, early morning the next day, she got into bed, where Chris was already asleep. Around 4 a.m. the next morning, when they woke up, Shanann confronted Chris about the affair. Chris confessed to having the affair and stated that he wanted to break up with her and move out of their house to live in with his girlfriend, Nicole Kessinger. This led to an argument between the two. Shanann was furious. She ended the conversation by saying, "You will never see your kids again." This enraged Chris, and he grabbed Shanann by her throat and strangled her to death. Their daughter Bella walks into the room shortly after he killed his wife, and she asks her father, "What's wrong with Mommy?" Chris tells Bella that Mommy is sick, but she will be fine. He wraps her body in the bedsheet and drags her body downstairs as their daughter watches. Celeste is awake by now. Chris grabs Bella and Celeste and puts them in the truck along with their mother's body. They then drive up to Survey 319, an oil well site where Chris works. Once they reach the site, Chris smothers Celeste to death as Bella watches. He then reaches to grab Bella. Bella cries, saying, "No, Daddy, please don't hurt me." Chris then smothers Bella. Chris proceeds to bury Shanann in a shallow grave just outside the perimeter of Survey 319. He then dumps his daughters in individual oil well tanks. After disposing of the bodies, Chris then drives to work to start his shift. On the way, he texts the realtor about selling their house. He then makes a phone call to the children's school, informing them that he enrolled his daughters out of school. He also texts his girlfriend to discuss future plans. After confessing to the police about the murders, he takes them to the site where the bodies are buried. So, what was Chris's motive behind doing all this? No one to this day knows why Chris killed his family. Maybe he did it so that he could get what he wanted without going through emotional and financial ruin. Or maybe he just wasn't happy with the way his life was going, and he thought with Nicole he could start fresh. In a recent interview, Chris revealed that he had been planning on murdering his family for quite some time, and that a lot of his actions were impulsive. He did not give a lot of thought before choking his girls to death, not even the plea of his daughter, who kept saying, "No, Daddy, please don't hurt me." The Watts family murders left an indelible mark on the public psyche. The case sparked discussions on domestic violence, the facade of social media personas, and the disturbing reality that even those closest to us may harbor dark secrets. The case of Chris Watts remains a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity and the facades people often present to the world. It shattered the illusion of a perfect family and highlighted the importance of addressing underlying issues and seeking help before tragedies occur. As the Watts family tragedy lingers in our collective memory, we are left to ponder the devastating consequences of hidden secrets and unresolved conflicts. The legacy of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts will forever serve as a stark reminder that behind closed doors, the truth may be far more chilling than meets the eye. Now that we've shared this true crime story with you, let us know in the comments below what murder case you'd like to hear about next. If you enjoyed our video, do like the video and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next video.